To pick up where we left off, what we need to do now is create a cue, something that will encourage the user to click or tap on the image or even hover over the image to get the overlay to show up. All right, so there's probably several ways to do this. I'm going to use an icon. So again, at W3 Schools, I'll just go into Learn Icons and we'll go to Font Awesome. I'll use Font Awesome 5 and specifically some icon arrows. And let's scroll down and I'm going to use this arrow right here. So let's go ahead and try this out. So what I'll need to do is first get the script, okay? So let's copy our script for Font Awesome. If you haven't already done so, you should go to Font Awesome and register and get your own kit and your own code. So let's go back and we need to go to the head of the document right after our title. And we'll add in our script to connect us to Font Awesome. Let's go back and I'm going to grab this arrow here and then we'll just change some of the styles a little bit. So this one happens to be right here, this icon. So let's go ahead and copy and let's go back and I'll just add this to the first image. So here is our div. There's our overlay. I'm going to add my icon after the overlay. That way I shouldn't have to worry about a z-index because this comes after the overlay. It should sit on top. Okay, so what we need to do now is target the eye. So the eye is in my image. So let's go ahead and go to our rules. And we will do dot my image eye, and we're going to go ahead and set the position to absolute. Okay, and I want my arrow to be in the bottom right. So let's go ahead and set right 0 and bottom 0. And we'll save. And the arrow is probably a little large. So you'll see an arrow here, error here, and that's because we're using a single quote and we're using double quotes everywhere else. Now what's important is that you're consistent. So we should probably change the single quotes to double quotes. Everything's still going to work. Dreamweaver's just saying, hey, be consistent, don't use a single quote, all right? But I'm going to leave them as is for right now. But let's go ahead and change our pixel height here. So we have what is an inline style. So we're setting the font size and the color here when we really should do so up here. But it's going to be okay for right now. So let's go ahead and save. And we'll go back. And here is our arrow. So hopefully what this will do is prompt us to click on this area, okay? Or hover over this area depending on what device we're currently using. Now the arrow's a little close here. I could move this over, you could position this somewhere else, but the concept I'm getting at is you should have a visual cue to encourage the user to interact with the element if the idea is they have to do so to invoke the animation of the overlay. I briefly paused the video. I went ahead and changed the right and the bottom to 5 pixels. I moved the style out of the icon element, so it's no longer an inline CSS, and I brought the font size and the color up here. So it's part of my image I. And then I also fixed on the class styles here for I went ahead and got rid of the single quote and made this a double quote. All right, so and you notice now the error has gone away. So the last thing we need to do, or we should do, is externalize our CSS. So I'm going to just copy all of my rules real quickly here. Well, matter of fact, now I see that there's a single quote, so I'll fix that also. But I'm going to select all of my rules and just cut those rules, take the two style elements and delete them. Okay. Now what we'll do is go to File, New. We'll create a new CSS document. Create. And let's go ahead, and before I lose them, I'll paste in my rules. We will save our document, and I'm going to call this the same as the HTML page, so we'll just call this Hover Demo CSS. I'm going to save it inside the same root level folder that our Hover Demo HTML file is. So we will save, then we can close this file. We can go back here. Let's go ahead and select our source. I'll cut this, get rid of the single quotes, add in the double, paste back in, save. You'll notice that all of our formatting is gone now, okay? And none of our hovers or anything work because none of those rules are there because we deleted them from the document. Now we need to connect back to them. All right, so let's go back, and after the title, we will create a link, and our href equals, and we are going to connect to, it was Hover Demo, I believe, so we'll just do hover. There's Hover Demo CSS, so we'll just press return to select. Our relationship for this document is style sheet. So I can just cycle down here and find style sheet, or just continue to type style sheet. So we'll press return, and then the type of document or the type of code or text we're working with. So this will be type equals text CSS, and then we need to make sure that we close link. Link is what's called an open or an empty element, so it closes like an image element. We should be able to save now, and everything should be back and working. All right, so adding a visual cue, in this case a Font Awesome arrow, to try to entice or encourage the user to hover and or click on the image area, and then externalizing your CSS to a linked CSS file.